Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 70 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. It's a special one today. Today is the coaching call recording from day 3 of the Confident Yogi CEO. I love these podcasts where I'm answering your questions because I know that the questions that the yoga teachers have asked me, they will resonate for you too. They are the ones that you're asking as well. Now, before I get into that coaching call recording, if you are listening to this before Friday, the 20th of October, 2023, the doors to my mentorship program are open. They are open Thursday, the 12th of October to Friday, the 20th of October, 2023. And I just want to say, come on in. If you are listening to this at another date and you're like, I've missed it, don't worry. Head over to the sales page, add your name to the wait list. What happens in terms of my mentorship program, I open the doors 3 times a year. And sometimes, depending on my availability, how many people have added their name to the wait list, there's the odd person that sneaks in between as well. So do add your name to your wait list. It's your expression of interest. It's not a commitment. I'm definitely committing to this, but it's a way that we can start a conversation. And you can come in at 2 levels. Option 1 and option 2, get all of this. Are you ready? 3 live calls a month for 6 months, 2 coaching calls, so 2 examples of what you're just about to listen to, where you can pre-submit questions, ask questions live, I'll answer them, and 1 teaching clinic a month. And those teaching clinics are led by you. The one we've got coming up in October is the pelvic posture and the pelvic floor, because someone was asking about pelvic floor health in perimenopausal women. I love talking about the pelvic floor, and for me, it has so much related to our posture, whether we're male or female, whether we've had babies or not. So there's an example of a teaching clinic coming up this month. Okay, so there's those 3 live calls a month for 6 months. It's a 6-month program. You also get 6 months community access and community support. In our community, you can ask a question anytime, feedback on websites, feedback on sales page, feedback on flyers, advice on workshops, retreats, classes, prices, you name it. You go into that community and you ask and I will answer, and also so will the others in the community. It's such a supportive community. Alongside this community, which the recordings of our coaching calls and teaching clinics are in there too, you have self-paced study program, which is this module, the 6 module course, The Business of Teaching Yoga, which literally covers everything, really in-depth program that you can work through in your own place. Not to mention, actually, you have ongoing access to this beyond that initial 6 months in the program. And there's some bonus stuff as well. There's my library, the yoga library, over 100 classes in there, Hatha, Yin, Vinyasa Yoga. So if you've lost your practice or you're stuck for some ideas and planning, go into my yoga library. Honestly, get moving, get practicing, reignite your love for yoga. Oh, and feel free to just steal any of my plans. That's why it's there. And then there's also the bonus leverage course, which is short 5-part snappy course, which will get you started creating online and creating and calling in passive or semi-passive income, which, you know what, if you want to lift the ceiling on your income as a yoga teacher, that is really a way I recommend you going, not maybe fully, but part going. And then finally, there's the art of teaching yoga or anything, because after 22 years of being 22 years plus, I'm going to say, of being in education, in training, being a teacher, right? I just want to say teaching is teaching, regardless of the subject. Okay, then if you're like, I love all of that, that's all included in option 1. Option 2 is all of that, but a little bit of extra personal support from yours truly. So in option 2, you get everything that I've just spoken about in option 1, but we meet for a one-to-one call, which I call my pathway to profit, where I look and listen as to where you are now. And then together we create your unique pathway to profit, what you would like to create in our 6 months together and beyond. And you get a recording of that call. And then you have 6 months WhatsApp support from me as well. So I literally am in your pocket and on your team. Now that option 2 is limited. I only take a certain amount of people every time the doors open. And I am blessed to be at a point where that sells out. So what I want you to do is, if you're listening to this and it's not yet 20th of October 2023 and you want to come in at option 2, like, take action now. If you're not sure, drop me a DM, drop me an email, let's chat about it. Okay, if you're listening and the doors are closed, add your name to the wait list, because I'll be up front here. It's the wait list people that get first refusal into option 2. So if you want that higher level of support, if you want to be able to just go, oh, this is bothering me, and pick up your phone and drop me a voice message and have me respond, that's what you get in option 2. If you want me to have a look at your website, review your social media, help you create a training program, help you sell out that retreat, help you create that online course, like, we can do this in option 1 as well. This is all possible, but that personal support of option 2 will really elevate the support that you get and the success that you get, particularly if you're launching something new, something big, or you just want to chat to me personally for 6 months. Like, I love to chat, that. All right, my lovelies. So here is episode 70, my coaching call from the Confident Yogi CEO. Hello, everyone. So welcome to day 3 of the Confident Yogi CEO. I've got a couple of people with me live, so I really appreciate the live Wednesday crew. Yes, I've got a mountain of questions, so I'm getting this feeling that lots of you are doing the replay, which I don't mind. Like I said all week, I am always a replay hero, and I realize, like, my training is at a bit of a quirky time, but it's the time that works for me. In fact, on that, there's, like, obviously there's other trainers, yoga trainers and mentors out there, and there's a lady doing a free training this week, and hers was 7 o'clock last night, and I was like, oh, that is such a good time. I was like, I couldn't do it last night at 7 o'clock, so you just, going back to this point I keep making, you've just got to make it work for you, and the rest just falls into place. And this is why we have replays, so we can all do them. See, listen, if I chat long enough, though, someone comes in. Okay, so like I said, I have an absolute mountain of questions, so it's unlikely I'm going to be able to take any live, but you never know. Hi, Rachel. So I'm actually going to start. Just checking Rachel's coming in. I'm just going to start with Deborah's question. Okay, because Deborah was first into the call today. So I'm going to read it out. So I teach at a gym currently, but I've just started running my own monthly yoga sessions and a private venue. And I first of all say, let's just all celebrate that, because as I've said, I think it was day 1, like, it's very, very common to start off in a gym, cut your craft as a yoga teacher, and then begin to add in your own private classes and workshops, because you soon do the maths that I have a potential to earn more, and I have more control of it when it's my staff. I have no systems in place. I'm manually emailing people when they book on, and recordings and things on a spreadsheet. Not where you have got a system, you've got a spreadsheet. It's getting a bit manic. Yes, okay, so it is a good problem. I guess I need to get a proper mailing list software and a booking system. So let me just deal with that first. Yes, booking systems. I use Bookwem. I'm not sponsored by Bookwem. I don't recommend them as the be all and end all, but generally speaking, it's $9.99 a month, which, when you set against that admin, I just find it works really, really well for classes and workshops. You can take online payment. I would use Stripe, and it's all integrated through Bookwem. Stripe takes a very small transaction fee. I think it's something like 1.5%. When we are thinking about what we're charging, what we're pricing, and we're setting up systems like booking systems and online payment, then I would just say that factor that into your what you charge your students. And we live in a world, rightly or wrongly, where, I'm just sorry, I have to do this, where it is a to ding payment. Oh, I like that. You've got to think, oh, I like that, I want to go to that class. Oh, and if there's a lot of mountains I've got to move to get to it, that emotion of I like that and I want to go to that class will fade. Whereas if I'm like, oh, I like that, I want to go to that workshop, to ting, book, I'm in. So it is worth putting in systems 100%. Then the mailing system Again, there's loads out there. The one I recommend is MailerLite. The reason why I recommend MailerLite is because basically you can use it for free. The first 1,000 subscribers. I can't remember exactly what else that includes for free, but it's really good for free. And you can set up email automations for free, which means I come onto your list and there is like an email that says, hey, thank you. I'm Deborah. Welcome to my yoga world. This is what I do. This is how I can help you. You can talk to me on email. The other thing with, other mailing software platforms, MailChimp, ConverterKit, ActiveCampaign, they exist and they all offer this. But if you don't have a website, you can use MailerLite. You can build what they call a landing page in MailerLite, which is a one-page website. If you are paying for Linktree, so Linktree is something that people use in Instagram, and they often pay for it so they can get rid of all the branding. You could actually set up your own Linktree one-page website using MailerLite for free. So that's what I recommend in terms of those two things. And in terms of systems in your business, did you want to put it in the chat, Deborah? Yeah, sorry. Put it in the chat. In terms of systems in your business, it literally is one system at a time. It can feel immensely overwhelming to oh my God, I've got to start a mailing list. Oh my God, I've got to put in a booking system. Oh my God, I don't have a website. Oh my God, I don't know how to use social media. And it's literally one step at a time in practice. And then while Deborah's going to ask me a question about what I've just said, I know she has also asked this. Someone has just asked what would happen if they needed to cancel. She said money is tight, but she really wants to come. She has told lots of friends about my classes. They've booked onto them too, so my emotions are getting in the way. I've said to her if I can fill the space, she won't be charged, but I have no terms and conditions regarding cancellation. What is a normal time period that you would say you have to cancel by to get a full refund? So this is challenging when we're just teaching one class. Like you're booking the hall, you're turning up and paying. It's a very delicate balancing act. Absolutely. Yes, I'll answer that in a minute. It's a very difficult balancing act when you first start out. You want to get people in through the door. But I'm just going to use the analogy again of my children's swimming lessons. I pay for the start of the term. It's a 10-week term. I know if they miss a week, if they're ill, my car breaks down, money is tight, it's all my problems. It's not the swimming school's fault. And I want that swimming school to be there. So I sign up to this and accept it. So I always am like, when you're starting out, I prefer to see a block booking system with a start and an end date. And then a drop-in. The drop-in being at least £2, if not £3, if not £4 more expensive, because you're directing people away from the drop-in and encourage them to commit to the block. One, because it's consistent income for you. Two, it encourages consistent income for them. When it's a friend, when they've been good, when they've brought people to us, I think when they come at us with money is tight, it's a difficult one. And the counter is, I so appreciate that. I turn up, this is my time, my services, I still need to book the hall, I just think when we throw it back onto them and they can think about their choices as to whether they can afford to come to your yoga classes or not. And then I always say this, if you are charging in a way that is ensuring consistent income for your classes, and you have a friend, you have a long-standing student who comes to you and is genuinely struggling to come to your classes, you will be in a financial position to offer a decent concessionary rate. I have concessionary rates and they're all discreet. I don't advertise them. That's not true, actually. I have a scholarship rate for my training, but I have discretionary rates for my classes. I have discretionary rates for the mentorship program, actually. I would say I'm making up as I go along, not really. I kind of trust my intuition and my gut on this. And then on my training, I have 25% scholarship places for all my training courses. It is Stripe. Okay, so Linktree, don't worry if Linktree means nothing to you, Deborah, ignore that. Some people on Instagram use something called Linktree to have their links in the Instagram, so don't worry about that. And it's Stripe. You can set up Stripe is a great way. You can take online payment. You could take online payment with a Stripe account without even needing Bookwen. Bookwen will integrate into Stripe. So that's how you can take online payments. It also integrates, you see, Bookwend also integrates into World Pay. And I started off using World Pay, and it's messy, and Stripe is so much easier. Okay, so you just got to be brave and be firm. Terms and conditions are coming up in other questions as well. Deborah also asked about, I mentioned the other day about your social media, your Instagram page and your Facebook page, and making sure that they are business accounts, so you can see on your professional dashboard. And I think I blurred out my background because I'm actually upstairs in our spare room, because I wanted, this is my husband's office chair, and we call him President Business. So I was like from the Lego movie, and I just felt like I needed to put my Lucy Nyack dungarees on and be Lord Business for this call. It's the only reason. That's genuinely the only reason. Plus it's cold in my yoga studio, but so I blurred out the background so you can't see the fact it's like my husband's man cave, really. But on my phone, there you can see it. You can see it says professional dashboard there. When I click on that, my statistics are going to, you can see my statistics are really up. That's because I've been running ads, but it just helps you to see I'm doing this on social media, I'm posting once a week, I'm showing up in stories, I'm doing a reel every now and again, all things are going up, good. Or I'm doing all this stuff and nothing's changing. I'll be like, oh, do something different. Okay, let me just check that chat. Yeah, this is why I love Bookwend. You can put it all into the system of booking. You can say, these are the terms and conditions when you book your place. You are booking your place in the course. Credit does not roll over. Here's the start date. Here's the end date. You can also integrate into your booking system like that. I in the end dumped my health questionnaire, and I would just say, is there anything I should know about your body before attending class? Slightly different with pregnant women. I did take some previous health information, but the Bookwend just simplifies everything. Refund, I'd just say your classes are not refundable. You have to turn up, you have to teach. So if you're teaching more than one class, you can say credit. You could say can they attend another class this week if they miss that class? This just gets so complicated. I had a friend who's a Pilates teacher, ended up with a very big class-based business. She was teaching 12 plus classes a week, and she got herself into such a muddle by saying, if you miss your class for this week, email me, I'll see if I can fit you into another class that week. She was spending hours fitting people in, and in the end she just said, you're booking your place on this course. Bigger investments, so a retreat, for example, maybe even a workshop, but even then I'm not so sure about that. But retreats, training programs, my online courses, you do have to have a refund policy, because otherwise some people are going to take the mickey. But generally speaking, like I take, like, for example, for retreats and training, non-refundable deposit. Because and then I make it very, very clear, if you cancel within, say, 28 days, that you're liable for the full payment. Or like on my foundation teacher training course, no, I'm not refunding it if you're 6 months in, you've changed your mind. We've got to be careful that we're not overgiving. I think if you're committing to coming to a yoga class, now this comes from actually studios. Yoga studios can operate, let's take a gym environment where there's loads of classes. People are paying perhaps on like a monthly membership, and they can book into a class and they can cancel that in 24 hours and book into another class. If you're a yoga teacher teaching 1 or 2 classes a week, that's not the model you can work to for it to be sustainable. And then, yes, they can go and get cheaper classes and more flexible payments at the gym, but maybe they don't want to come to the gym. They want to come to your specialist yoga classes. So just be careful. It's a money mindset, and generally speaking, women are overgiving. Okay, so this is from Jane. So Jane qualified, but just due to some personal circumstances, she literally couldn't get teaching, and understandably lost her confidence. I just want to put something that Jane put. She said, I think I have expected far too much of myself. I'm 60, and the fact I cannot do handstands yet. And so she asked me, actually, any asanas that I personally would avoid or not teach. And I'm going to answer Jane's question, but I also just want to say to Jane that handstand is not a prerequisite to be a good yoga teacher. Handstand, actually, we can on another day talk to Floss about this. It was brought into the yoga world in the sort of like gymnastic inspired era of, yes, Floss is nodding here, of the sort of like 50s and 60s, like very westernized asana. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, that we should no longer do handstand in our yoga classes, but honestly, guys, it's not a traditional yoga asana. It doesn't mean we shouldn't practice it. It doesn't mean it's not fun. It doesn't mean that if you can't do a handstand that you're not a good yoga teacher. And you know what, like, if every yoga teacher was just teaching handstands, the yoga world would be a really sad place. So just be careful that you're not telling you're telling yourself stories, or you're setting up made up boundaries. So asanas that I avoid, right, the first thing I want to say, that there is nothing that the human body can't do. Okay, there is nothing that, assuming it is not causing pain, suffering, or imbalances, then fine. So let's just be really careful that we're not making judgments of people on Instagram that are making a shape with their body that perhaps our body can't make. It's not right for our body physically and anatomically, the life experiences that we've come to at this stage in our life. Yeah, maybe that's not what I can do, but maybe it's okay for them, and we don't know. Because the only person who truly knows what's right for our bodies, the only person, as Benny Clark says, flying the plane, is us. So it's worth sort of like dropping any stories around that is dangerous. That is dangerous. You shouldn't do that. I do not believe there is a single asana that is dangerous. Right. Ones that I have problems with teaching are the ones that I think probably I have had experience with myself. And this is the case as yoga teachers. It's virtually impossible not to bring our experiences to the yoga room. And maybe that's what makes us unique. So I don't like pigeon. I'm hypermobile in my knees, didn't take enough care of my knees in my early 20s, definitely wanted to look good in lotus and probably should have avoided it. So nowadays, my knees won't even let me take half lotus. This is not an uncommon story for yoga teachers, particularly hypermobile yoga teachers. And I am just so obsessed with knees and hypermobility these days because of where I am today. So I could easily beat myself up, or I could say this has been the experiences of my life that are making me the teacher I am today. So pigeon, I just cannot get the stretch into the hips that without hurting my knees. So I actually just know a whole load of other ways to experience pigeon. The other thing is pigeon, as I just find it such a Marmite pose. So comfortable in it, and other people just are really uncomfortable, and I'm running around with a million blocks and bolsters. That's not to say, like one of my trainee teachers this weekend in her final teaching practice did pigeon, but generally speaking, any shape where there's an external rotation into the hips, and there's, I believe, there's too much focus on external rotation and this term hip openers in yoga, and I think we should talk about range of motion in hips and break down from external and internal rotation and just feel the available range of motion in the hips. But I am just really super cautious around knee joints and external rotation. And then inversions, like I have no problems with any of them: headstand, shoulder stand, handstand. I prefer not to teach them online. I prefer to be in the room, and I prefer to really know people, because I just think they're shapes that, particularly interestingly, head and shoulder stand, like we're playing around the neck, which is why if someone said to me, okay, Amy, you had to pick headstand, handstand, or shoulder stand to teach today, what would you pick? And you don't know these people, I'd pick handstand, because for me, even though I'm not great at bringing myself personally up into handstand, I know all the drills, I know all the build-up shapes, and the neck is completely free. And for me, it seems more inclusive. So that's maybe one reason why we see handstand in the yoga world these days, or some teachers, some schools of yoga. I'm thinking like maybe like an Anusara school of yoga, where we see almost the handstand as the first shape. Like when I did my training back in the day, like I'm saying like I'm old, but like when I trained as a yoga teacher, which was back in 2006, the practice then was the first inversion you learnt was shoulder stand. And now there was a phase where shoulder stand was considered very, very dangerous, and even some studios, and even today, some teachers won't teach it. And like, listen, we're all a product of our own experiences. So, but just, I have to check myself for this, that I don't limit myself or tell my students that something is dangerous, like create fear. Okay, so Sam has asked, I qualified as a yoga teacher in May and started teaching a couple of classes in June. So well done, Sam, for getting going. I'm focusing on more gentle yoga classes to attract people who might not have considered yoga before or who will find them more accessible, but neither of my classes are well attended. I'm wondering if I'm limiting my focusing myself solely on this audience. Is it too soon to think about putting on workshops, or should I focus on filling my classes first? I also work a couple of jobs like many people and would like to increase my income from yoga. Finding time to focus on the yoga business is a bit short though. Are there any tips on priorities I could be focusing on? So first of all, I would suggest, Sam, I don't know, but it sounds like you're teaching a beginner yoga, foundation yoga, and I think you just need to be really, really clear as to what it is you're offering. And the beginner course, this is bizarre, you create a beginner course with a start and an end date, will strangely fill itself so much more than if you're just calling it like a gentle yoga class suitable for beginners, which I can just drop into every week. When you call it a beginner course or yoga foundations, if we don't want to get too entangled as to what a beginner is, and everything is relative, but if you call it a course and I'm signing up to this to learn about yoga, it's amazing how many people will come in. And then what's the power of a beginner course is you bring new people into your business, new people to yoga. They don't consider themselves, they don't stay beginners forever. So what's the upsell into that? Well, that might be to your general hatha yoga, gentle yoga class, but just be really, really clear what it is. And if you're targeting people who are not so sure about yoga, you need to tell them why they need to come, not just where the class is, when it is, and how much it costs. Either call out their pain points. Are you suffering from stiff joint, back pain, stress, anxiety? Would you like to feel better? Yes, I can help you come to yoga. Or the jury's out as to whether you should do that. People know if they're feeling stressed, stiff and tight, or call in the pleasure, like what are the benefits of yoga? Greater freedom and flexibility, improved muscle strength and performance. Think about who you're talking to. If I'm a runner, oh hell yes, if I go to CrossFit, I really want improved muscle tone and flexibility. If I am struggling to get up and down off the floor, if I'm feeling stiff when I get out of a chair, yeah, hell, I don't want to feel like that. Think about who you're talking to, and I would make it a beginner course. And I would also think about the boundaries around booking and ensure consistent income. It is never, and don't make up things in terms of I better get these classes full before I start these workshops. Offer the workshops, because what will happen is probably a few people that aren't coming to these classes will come to the workshops and won't want to come to your classes, and the two are interlinked. And the workshops are a great way of boosting your income. Classes are like our consistent bread and butter. How do I boost my income? How do I make more money in a short period of time? Workshops, and give people that unique experience. And you've got to think about the experience when it comes to the workshop. And then we're like, listen, we're all short on time. I get it. So you prioritize, right, on, I'm going to just say money-making activities, right? And so often we'll spend hours maybe on procrastinating on the stuff that feels safe. So the lesson planning, the building the website but not pressing publish. But whereas, if these are local classes, I would say, right, what is a money-making activity? It's boots on the ground. So I'll put my boots on the ground. I'll walk around the streets where these classes are, talk to local businesses, local people, hand out my flyers. I will have flyers and I'll say to my regular students, hey, can you help? All hands to the pump. Hey, can you invite people to these classes? You make offers, here's my classes, and you make money. Make offers often is what I would prioritize, and thinking, that rather than crafting a beautiful post on Canva for Instagram. Like I have a rule, right? If a reel takes me more than 10 minutes, I literally won't do it. It's a complete waste of my time. So focus on money-making activities, which is bringing people into these classes in a payment structure that can encourages consistent income, and then build your tribe of people that love your classes. And then think about, where next can we go? Workshops. Oh, we've got a great community. Should we go for a day retreat? Create some online passive income so they can have regular practice at home. Teresa's asked about how she can get quicker at planning classes. I teach a seasonal yoga, so the theme is no problem, and we work with the energies of the meridians in the organs seasonally. I love it. So the asanas are topical, but it takes me a long time to plan a class and then practice it. I'd like to teach more spontaneously without such a comprehensive plan, but I'd worry and I'd forget something and it won't flow properly. So Teresa, yes, it is just practice and experience. And I also think it's a bit of a mindset. There's that imposter syndrome. I'm not really good enough to do this without this detailed plan, without doing all of this, without doing all this work, it's just not going to flow. And I would take off some of the stabilizers. So, put some limits on yourself. How long am I planning? How long is this workshop? How long is this class? How much am I earning? What is a reasonable amount of time? What if I plan less? Let me see what happens. It's back to that what if plan. And then I would just say to all of us, when it comes to planning and teaching, we are often sharing our experience of the practice. So make sure you're not losing the practice. This is so hard, but make sure you're not losing the practice, because then the planning, the teaching seems to flow so much more. So next one, I am going to get through them. There's a lot. Okay, so who is this? This is Sandra. Okay, Sandra has a GoDaddy website. I could see myself doing Zoom classes, and maybe an online booking system would be good. I already had a GoDaddy website. Do I need to invest in an all singing, all dancing platform? Literally, I'm going to say I don't think this platform exists. There isn't a one size fits all. And the more that the platform offers you, often the more expensive it is. So I'll give you an example. Kajabi, which is an online course platform, but also can take bookings, and also does email marketing. It's really expensive. It's expensive because it does everything. And you'll often find the all singing, all dancing stuff does everything well, but not stuff brilliantly. So you have a website, Sandra, GoDaddy website, great. What I would say is, loads of people have websites. Can I find you if I Googled you? So if you're a local business, you have a Google Business Center listing. That is an if, no buts, no coconuts. In our household, if something is non-negotiable, we say that's if, no buts, no coconuts. That is happening. So if you have a website, you should have a Google Business Center listing. If you have a website, you should spend some time, each month, and I'm half an hour, refreshing it, updating it, and having a look at search engine optimization, SEO. What are people searching for in order to find my classes? Okay. And there is a slight nuance between local business. This is not rocket science. This is a lot easier. If you've got an online business, it is trickier, but not impossible. And it's still worth having a go at. It's still worth having an effort at. So I have an online yin yoga teacher training course. There are probably hundreds of online yin teacher training courses, and I could have easily gone, well, I'm never going to get found, what's the point? But I give it a go. I've got a couple of podcasts, I've got a blog post, Google likes new content, so it's just writing a blog. And if writing a blog's not your thing, just forget it, but at least go in and just have a look. Every website builder, and generally speaking, we have WordPress, Wix and Squarespace as the main players, have guidance, have tips on search engine optimization. We cover this again in the mentorship program, but make sure people can find your site. Make sure if they're Googling what you're offering that you come up, right? Otherwise, what's the point of having a website? Zoom is £14 a month, and if you did Bookwhen integrates into Zoom, so you can have it that you just set up the online class on Bookwhen, and when someone books, the Zoom link is created. You can take bookings through Bookwhen. Wix and Squarespace have their own booking systems, and what I found for those people in my mentorship program that use it, they're not so yoga specific, they're not as good as Bookwhen, so they often end up just using Bookwhen. There are others. There's don't want to just sound like I'm going on about Bookwhen. Eventbrite, it's worth checking out. So, I what my take on it is keep your costs low, let your business grow, use what you've got in front of you. So if you've got a website already, use it, keep your costs low, do not invest in all singing and all dancing platforms. And like, if we're thinking, well, I want to pave the way for online income, I want to have an online course, like, you can start off. I had a lady in my mentorship program who started a membership using Facebook group, a closed Facebook group, completely free, and people had to pay. They paid via Stripe. So she set up her own Stripe account. Stripe, she created a reoccurring payment link. People had that link, they paid, and then she gave them access to the Facebook group. So she started a membership, an online membership, completely for free. But another lady in my mentorship program who has created an online postnatal course. The videos exist. And at the moment, I think we've gone down the route of putting them onto YouTube as private videos. And if people want access to them, they pay, and she gives them access. So, I mean, you can start an online course for free. I do recommend, for those of you listening thinking, oh, but I would really like to invest in a course platform, what's the one you recommend the best? At the moment, I take people to Thinkific, not Teachable. I use Teachable. Absolutely love Teachable. I've been using Teachable since 2020. The reason why I send those people in my mentorship program to Thinkific is on Thinkific, you can start your first course for free. So the lady I'm talking about that started her membership for free on Facebook, we have just moved it over to Thinkific because not everybody was on Facebook. It was not as nicely organized. She's still not paid anything. So Thinkific will let you take online payment, not reoccurring payment, but you can get around that for Stripe. It will let you have your first course for free. So it just allows you to start stuff for free. So I'm always like, keep your costs low. And then there comes a point when there's friction. There comes a point when there's friction and you're like, this is preventing people from booking on. This is causing people to cancel. I need to put in a new system that will take out this friction, and the cost of that new system is going to be worth it. That goes right back to Deborah's point. She's got no booking system at the moment, and it's causing her friction because it's causing her lots of time. It's a bit messy. Where she had a booking system and she put the terms and cues in her booking system, then she doesn't even have to have a conversation with a friend about what it is. Her friend just knows. I love this one. So retreats. Cassia asked, how to successfully and realistically plan a yoga retreat, how early to start planning and how early to start marketing. When you book and pay for the venue, when do you book and pay for the venue? Before people sign up or only after people sign up? It's a bit expense. How to make sure it will be filled and not lose money. Cassia, I'm going to work in reverse. Retreats are higher ticket offers. Not all of them, but if we're talking about a weekend retreat, we're talking about a week retreat, we're talking about perhaps even a retreat abroad, we are literally talking about a higher ticket offer. The stakes are higher. The reason why people, take the higher stakes is because the return on your investment can be huge. There is a reason why there are yoga teachers out there solely operating a retreat business. I had a friend who has a very successful retreat business, and the first time she booked her sort of like longer retreat, she parted with £2,000. She had no idea whether she was going to get that money back. And she did it from a place of faith that it is going to work, but also from a place of non-attachment, that if it doesn't work out and she loses that money, that she's okay with it. So that is a big ask. You have to be in a place where you're like, this is going to happen. I think you have to book the retreat. You have to know what you're offering before you're selling it. But what you've got to understand with retreats is, yes, people want to know where it is, when it is, what's included, and it can be as sparse or as full as you like. You are selling an experience. So, but also people need space for downtime as well, right? And you as the retreat leader need space for downtime. But you are primarily selling yourself. When people come on a retreat with you, they're choosing to come on a retreat with you. So you've got to ask yourself, like, if if you have a experienced background in like marketing, event planning, non-yoga related, like I spoke to someone the other day who plans events for Disney and she's going to train to be a yoga teacher. And I was like, you know what? You could go straight into retreat event planning because you understand these sort of like the moving parts of events and moving parts of a retreat. Whereas if you're like a yoga teacher and you've not got that experience, I feel like you should build up. Like, so I would be like, do a half a day retreat, do a day retreat, and test the water for that. See what you like to do. See what you like to include. Are you bringing in any other yoga teachers or guests with visiting teachers with you? Because that would have to be considered in your costs because you'll be paying them. Like, then maybe branch it out into a longer retreat, like a weekend retreat, maybe in the UK. So again, it's like baby steps. And once you've nailed that, once you're like, I've got the model down, I know how I like to do my retreats, I've got my retreat tribe, I'm like, go for it. But I'm smiling because I've got a lady in my mentorship program right now who literally has just gone balls out. And she did this before she joined my mentorship program, but actually we're just going to make it happen. And she wants to travel as part of her business and she wants to run foreign retreats. And I can't remember, where is it? She's booked and paid a deposit for a retreat center abroad next year. And like, this is our goal that we've got to fill it. And if you go down that route, like retreat centers, they want you to be successful. They want you to fill their retreats because they want you to come back. So use, again, it goes back to using what you've got. Use the retreat center to help you. Ask the retreat center, how big's your mailing list? You know, how much reach do you have on social media? How can you help me fill this retreat? But in the end, you have to go, you have to be brave. You have to go, I'm doing it. And I'm going to part with this money and just have absolute faith that you're not going to lose money. You're going to make it back. But you have to start. You actually have to just start. And it is scary. And I always think like those scary moments, like, are where the change happens, but we all have to consider our nervous system. Like, so for some of us, we're like, yeah, I'm going to drop $2,000 tomorrow and make that retreat happen. And that makes you feel excited. You're like, yeah, this is going to happen. And for some of us, like, if I drop $2,000 tomorrow in a retreat, I will never sleep again. Right. And like, okay, so you need to build it up. You've got to understand who you are and understand your nervous system. Like, I will go back to one of my favorite examples, Jane, who I run my yoga teacher training course with. She jacked in a job. She gave it a job. She's like, I'm just going to be a full-time yoga teacher. I have no idea where the money's coming from and it's all going to be fine. Like, I could not have done that. I did it. I was working part-time as a teacher, working part-time as a yoga teacher, and I allowed it to grow like that. That was what was right for my nervous system. So just think about energy-wise, what's right for you. So 2 more questions and I'm nearly done. Oh, these were great questions. Okay. I have a question for day 3. How do I become more visible? I'm posting on social media, doing leaflet drops. I have an A-frame outside my hall when I'm teaching, but I still struggle to get 2 or 3 students. I've tried changing the class times, but it didn't make any difference. I have adverts in the local shops and cafes too. I love teaching, but I hate the marketing side of things. I was like, I felt so sorry when I read this. This was Teresa, because I've been there. Oh, you're shouting into the void and you're like, nobody's coming. And this is nobody, you know, I'm doing all this stuff and I still got 2 or 3 people. So I did ask about her booking system. And she came back to me to say that she was outside in the summer and there were 6 of 8 people. Since moving inside, it's literally dropped down to 2 regulars. People seem, and these are her words now, people seem to prefer drop-ins, and I'm doing an intro price of £10 until the end of the year. I was hoping to build up my business and then introduce block passes in the new year. I'm aiming at a slightly older age group who think they're too old or too stiff to do yoga. I was offering chair yoga, but again, finding it difficult to create visibility. Okay, so first of all, people seem to prefer drop-ins. If you're offering drop-ins, you're attracting the drop-ins, you're attracting the flakies, okay? If you don't offer drop-ins, you will attract people who are willing to commit. If you sound like you understand your ideal client, they feel like they're too stiff for yoga. So you have to communicate to them that they're not, that your classes are accessible to them. So wherever you've got posters up and wherever you're talking to people, make sure that. Now, the interesting thing about this demographic is the vast majority of them are not hanging out on social media, right? So Instagram and Facebook even may not be a great place. Like, sounds like you've got local shops. I can only use example, right? Where I used to have my studio was in a community building, and there used to be some groups like the knitting group, the WI, for example, right? And if I wanted to tell like maybe like a chair brace mobility yoga class for an older person who might think yoga's not safe for them, yoga's not for them, I probably would have approached these groups and said, hey, can I come in and do a taster session? So this is getting in front of other people's audiences. You've got to go to them. Like, is there an age concern? Is there a local people's home that you can go and do some classes in, and like ask for them to take some pictures of you teaching them and you share them? So again, not on social media, but as part of like, you know, putting it out there. If it really is your target, you know, client is that person, then with those 2 loyal clients that you've got, use them. They've got friends, they've got a network, get them to bring people in. But I really do think you just need to drop the drop in, make it a course, have a drop in that's more expensive. Your dream clients are going to pay this price, and then get really clear, because all your marketing endeavors. Another question was, I'm short, I can't remember who it was, I'm short on time, what's the best thing for my business? Well, here's a great example. This lady here is doing all this stuff and her class numbers are quiet. Definition of madness, doing the same thing, hoping for a different result. So I've got to change how I'm talking to people. The way I'm talking to people right now isn't working. So where are my ideal clients? You know, get them in. I'm not a huge fan of a free class, but if you wanted to do a free taster session, get them in, talk to the WI, talk to the local knitting group, talk to the local reading group, you know, get on the local radio, you know, message out to all the people who are over 60 and think yoga's not for them. I'm doing a free morning of yoga here, come along, and get them to book. When they book, get their email, you know, and get their telephone number and talk directly to them about your classes, because they're obviously not picking it up on social media. And then last question. Okay, so Christina was teaching yoga for 5 years, but then for personal reasons had to take a break, and she has now come to a stage in her life where she is ready to teach again, and she's low on confidence, and has moved to a new place, new city. And how does she get going after taking a break? So yeah, it's almost like I use the analogy of driving the car. Like if I passed my test and I didn't start driving straight away, I'd have to have a few additional lessons. So what I would do, Christina, is I would go to some local classes in the city. I'd go like just like in a 5-mile radius of where you live. I'd go and check out every teacher, find the ones that you resonate with, get your practice going again, get your excitement for your practice going again. I would talk to these teachers. I would tell them their story. We care about each other, like the ones that you're going to energetically vibe with, and maybe they'll need cover. Like this is one of the best ways to start teaching after a break, or you know, as a trainee teacher that's just qualified, get some cover some classes. And then because you haven't got like perhaps friends in this new city that you could say, hey, look, can I come and practice a class on you? But you have probably got a network of friends. So like, could you teach an online class? Could you say to your a group of close friends and family member, I want to get teaching again, I haven't been teaching for a while, appreciate we're separated by distance, but would you be happy to come to a weekly Zoom class? That gets you practicing teaching on Zoom. You've also gone out into the city, you've met other teachers, you've found people that you've liked, start teaching and covering a few classes, sussing out some venues, and then make it really easy for yourself. What's the nicest, closest venue available near your house that you could teach in? And also, what would you enjoy doing? And just do that. Just if I lead with, not like, you know, I should do this and I should do that. If I lead with what is lighting me up right now, what do I feel most excited about, and just start that and let it go and be really compassionate to yourself. But the fact that you're getting this call to come back to teaching, I would say follow that. Oh, think I've done it. That was a marathon. So Floss has asked for my website address, which I'll just put. It's amyyoga.com. She says she can't find it. I'll put it in here. So just, you might be like, okay, Amy, what do you use? I've got a WordPress website. I had I've lost the chat now. My brain is gone. Sorry. If she ever had one. Chat. Okay, so there, hang on, I don't want a direct message. I want to get everyone. So there's my website, www.amyyoga.com. That is a WordPress site. I've had that site for 3 years now, just over 3 years, and I invested during 2020 in one of the COVID lockdowns about £2,000 on having my website built. It was a good investment. You guys do not have to invest £2,000 in a website. Oh, you're teachable. Yeah, I'll get that one up now. But I had the crappest of crappest websites. Jimdo. I mean, you probably don't even know what Jimdo was. Like, Jimdo was like the equivalent of like what perhaps Wix is today, maybe. So here is coming my let's just get it here. This is my Teachable website. So Teachable I use that's my course platform. And that's where I host, that's what in the mentorship program, this is where I host the self-paced study 6 module business of teaching yoga, my yoga library, 100+ classes that you get access to, my leverage course, the 5 module course on short course on getting going online. You can host courses on WordPress, but it makes it sluggish. And I really like Teachable as a course hosting platform. But it doesn't do everything. This is what I mean. Like, you just don't have one thing that does everything. So I'm not great on Facebook groups. I find them really overwhelming, and I get distracted. And before I know it, I've gone on Facebook and I've watched. If anybody else does this, and replay hearers, let me know as well. I watch videos about dogs being rescued, and I just love it. I will go onto Facebook to do something, and before I know it, I've got completely obsessed about pit bull rescue, like Pit Bull Nation, Pity Nation. I don't even want a pit bull, but so that's why I have to be careful about Facebook groups. So I use a community space called Circle, which I use for the mentorship program, and then my other training courses. You've got a URL, you've got a starting place, so there isn't a one size fits all. There's nothing perfect. Like, if I was to start again, I would probably simplify my business, probably go onto a Kajabi platform because it does everything, but that would be a huge amount of work for me right now, and it's not worth it. You've kind of got to go as you build it as you go, and a lot of the time we don't take action because we're chasing perfection. Alrighty then, I think I've answered everyone's questions. If you send me a personal message or personal email with the question, I will also respond. .com and .co.uk. Yeah, we're talking about URLs in the chat. If you're listening to replay, what are they talking about? I personally, it doesn't really matter whether it's a .com or .co.uk. If you're a UK-based yoga teacher, .co.uk is fine. .com, I feel, for me, just psychologically, it thinks, well, I'm opening the door for this to be a little bit more global, because when we think about the yoga industry and what it's worth, that is a global worth. I still think I googled what's it worth in the UK, and I think it was something like was it close to 1 million? I can't remember now. I'd be making it up, but it's still it's a big industry in the yoga in the UK. .com, I think, just opens the door if you were called to have online courses, if you were called to run retreats abroad. You don't have to be. You can make as much money as you like as a UK yoga teacher, just teaching in person in the UK. There's a multitude of ways that we can make money, but we get tangled into these decisions, and actually they're the best thing when you're getting tangled into, shall I use this color, shall I use this domain name, ask yourself, is this $1 million decision? And you're like, no, Amy told me to make offers, make money, right? You do not need a website to make money. You do not need a booking system to make money. All right, my darling, so I'll send out the replay I will, of course, be in touch, inviting you into my mentorship program. If it's not for you this time around, like, I get it. But one thing I want to say is, like, what we talked a lot about today is I cover in my mentorship program. I support you personally with it, and I save you a lot of time as well as helping you make money. It's the time saving and getting these systems in place. But if it's not for you now, I get it. All right. There's no pressure either way. I've just been really excited to turn up for you the last 3 days and help you and meet some of you for the first time. Alrighty then. I will catch you all soon.